And we're back. You're watching the World News on Myanmar International. I'm Randolf Jamias. As space venture starts our stories, a Soyuz spacecraft prepares for liftoff. It's carrying 2 Russians and an American to the International Space Station, where the men are to spend 5 months in orbit. The launch had been delayed by 8 days because of an equipment problem, but Tuesday's takeoff was successful. U.S. astronaut Kevin Ford is making his second space voyage, while the Russian cosmonauts are on their first mission. The trio joined 3 ISS crew members already at the station who are slated to return to Earth on November 12th. Moving on, we head to Chile. Hundreds of residents from the northern city of Arica participated in an earthquake and tsunami drill on Tuesday in a coastal region often affected by seismic activity. Local residents evacuated homes and schools and were given instructions on procedure to follow in the event of a possible natural disaster. The exercise simulated the response to a potentially cataclysmic 9-magnitude earthquake and ensuing tsunami. Residents seemed pleased with the event. In 2010, an 8.8 magnitude earthquake occurred off the coast of central Chile and triggered a tsunami that devastated several coastal towns. Now, some art findings in South American Peru. Archaeologists discovered ancient artifacts last week in Machu Picchu, the world-renowned Inca city set atop the vertiginous Andean mountains in southern Peru. The pieces were found buried below a 3-walled patio known as a Wairana in Quechua, between the Condor Temple and the Astronomical Observatory. The relics include clay jugs, a ceremonial pot, 10 malachite beads, a bronze clasp, and carved stones. Experts believe some of the objects could belong to the Chimu civilization and date back to 1000 AD. The Chimu lived on the northern coast of Peru and were later conquered by the Incas around 1470 AD. Machu Picchu, located 2,400 meters above sea level, was rediscovered in 1911 by American explorer Hiram Bingham after being unknown to the outside world for over 3 centuries. Let's have the latest in gadgets and technology. In San Jose, California, Apple unveiled a smaller version of its hot-selling iPad on Tuesday, taking aim at the smaller tablet computers offered by rivals Amazon, Google, and Samsung. The iPad mini's touchscreen measures 7.9 inches diagonally compared to 9.7 inches on the original iPad. A 16-gigabyte version of the iPad mini with Wi-Fi connectivity costs $329, while a 16-gigabyte model with both Wi-Fi and cellular capability costs $459. Like later versions of the original iPad, the new Apple tablet also features rear and front-facing cameras. Apple Senior Vice President for Marketing Phil Schiller said customers could begin pre-ordering the iPad mini on October 26 and that Wi-Fi versions would begin shilling on November 2 to about 3 dozen countries in Asia and Europe in addition to the United States. He also said that iPad mini weighs 0.68 pounds, less than half the original, and is 7.2 millimeter thick, thinner than a pencil. Can an animal mimic the sound of human beings? Scientists at the National Marine Mammal Foundation in San Diego, California, released audio that they claim shows a beluga whale spontaneously mimicking sounds of the human voice. The NMMF, which published its findings in the scientific journal Current Biology, released a still photograph and an audio recording of a white whale's speech. The foundation's president, Dr. Sam Ridgway, said the vocalizations from the whale named NOC sounded like 2 people speaking. These conservations were heard several times before the whale was eventually identified as the source. In fact, they discovered it when a diver mistook the whale for a human voice, giving him underwater direction, Ridgway said in a press release. In other news, here in Myanmar, football's international governing body, FIFA, on Wednesday launched its FIFA 11 for Health program in Myanmar, the first country to host this scheme in Asia. Professor Jiri Vorak, FIFA's Chief Medical Officer, Myanmar Football Federation, and the Sports Ministry came together at the opening ceremony in Yangon for the launch ceremony. FIFA says the program promotes 11 simple messages aimed at reducing communicable and non-communicable diseases. The initiative is based on an analysis of risk factors by the World Health Organization. FIFA saw Myanmar's reform period as the best time to introduce the program, which uses football as its basis. More than 30 teachers from 11 schools are taking part in the pilot project to bring football into students' daily lives. The project starts with 1,000 students in schools and aims to reach children around the country. Myanmar is a nation with a strong interest in football, with an estimated base of over 1 million active players.
So at that moment is the best to use the vehicle of education. We have the proof that this kind of education towards a healthy life is very efficient by using the platform football.
So that we're trying to implement this project. If we succeed, of course, you can cover more students, more children. So that will be good for your future, good for your country. Yeah.
In our last story, we go to the UK and see the Queen making a trip to the famous British athletes. The United Kingdom's sporting stars were invited to a reception at Buckingham Palace on Tuesday by Queen Elizabeth II. Over 200 medal winners from the Olympic and Paralympic Games attended, including runner Mo Farah and heptathlete Jessica Ennis. Sebastian Coe, the chairman of LOCOG, the organizing committee, was also present. Queen Elizabeth was jointly by her daughter, Princess Anne, and the Duchess of Cambridge, who attended many of the events as a spectator. And that completes our stories for today's World News. Local news coming up next. Thanks for the company.